5. To block this call and all future calls, press 7. To reject this call, hang up now. You may begin speaking now.
Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. So, last night, I saw, as many people did, the DA out of Los Angeles, who some are calling the far-left DA, rule that they reopened the case of the Menendez brothers. Menendez, whatever brothers. I guess for those of you that don't know, which would be pretty much nobody, unless you're from overseas, these are two brothers back in the 1990 or 89, two rich kids who killed their parents. It was calculated cold-blooded murder for sure. And allegedly they did it because one or two of the brothers had been molested by the father. Their first trial, or their ended in a hung jury. They went to trial by jury, ended in a hung jury. They were able to bring in evidence of molestation, and during the second trial, the DA's office decided, or the court decided, that they were not going to be able to show anything about the father molesting the kid. And even in fact, I watched last night, the DA at the time said that a male could not rape another male. I saw that. They literally said that last night, and that's why they didn't want, that was the position why they didn't want to bring in, allow evidence in about the father's so-called sexual abuse. Think about that. That's in Los Angeles in 1990. Okay? So anyway, the brothers have been in jail 30-something years now. Like 36 years, right? And as a matter of fact, I remember being in LA County jail system. I was only there 62 days, but I remember they were in there, and so was Richard Ramirez at the time. I did not see them. They were up on high tower, which was they're dressed in red. It's a whole different section of LA jail at the time. I have no idea what the LA jail county system's like now whatsoever, but that's what it was called, high power. Anyway, I was listening to the DA talk, and there's a lot of stuff out of there that was said that really anybody who has a family member or a friend or knows somebody who is in prison doing a long time, or even life with parole or without parole, really needs to pay close attention to. I mean, it was huge. And that is this. People come to jail, guys like me once upon a time, that are given life sentences at an early age, and they just don't care. They're like, fuck it. According to the prosecutor, he said that these guys went to jail and they didn't join gangs, and they had exemplary prison records, okay? I do know one or both of them got married, maybe a couple times divorced. California does have conjugal visits. For a while, lifers couldn't get conjugal visits. That's marital visits, if you will. That means they can have sex with a woman, or I guess a man. But you could do that if you weren't married. But excuse me. Anyway, but they did different things in prison. He was talking about how they worked with sexual abuse survivors in prison and stuff like that. By the way, to my friend who is the founder of SCARS, Children Reviving Souls. I heard that yesterday, if you're still listening to me. I heard that yesterday, and I thought about your organization, how that connects with criminal justice reform. We talked about that a long time ago, and that's something you might want to look into. Maybe reach out to them, because a million people are, but it made the connection, and the light bulb went on in my head when I heard that yesterday. Anyway, but the point being, it is hard going to prison, especially when you're young and they're telling you that you're never going to get out. Basically, you are being kind of buried alive. That's the feeling at first. Now, I will say that contrary to what most people believe or would think, there is life inside these walls. People can.
This call is from a federal prison.
Sadly, or not sadly, I don't know if people can thrive in here. There'd be an argument made that some would say, I think in the U.S. probation, my judge or something, or maybe my ex, that I thrived in prison. And I don't really want to get into that right now. The angle they were really getting at me with, but the point is this: there is life. Life doesn't end at sentencing. People used to have to go on. Those who choose not to commit suicide and go on have to deal with it. And I personally believe, and I've seen this with my own eyes, I've seen guys that have been model inmates, that have been in prison 30 plus years, never got a ticket, write-up, disciplinary, shot, whatever you want to call it, never got one, programmed, did all the right things. Then they went up for parole. Now, these are guys that had life sentences with parole. Or even guys that didn't have parole and they got compassionate releases. And I've seen judges turn around, or parole boards turn around, and then say that they've manipulated the system. That the reason they did so good is because they came in and manipulated the system. I've actually seen that, which is a bunch of bullshit. Now, I personally believe it's better if you go to prison and you kind of do your screwing up a little early, because then you have a record, you can show rehabilitation. That's what actually happened in my case. That's what my judge actually pointed to, the fact that I got into fights and stuff, was involved in gang activity, and then I turned around and had 11 plus years clear conduct. Now, I did use drugs during those times on and off. If it had not been for Suboxone, a synthetic opiate, if it had not been for the fact they didn't have no testing for that drug, possibly I would have gotten some dirty urines, or at least one dirty urine, and it is possible that I would have never got out. And that's another sad statement in itself, because of opiate or substance abuse disorder. There's a chance that I could not have got out of prison, and people would have said, "Oh, I deserved it because look, I screwed up in prison." Kind of going off from where I wanted to go. My point being was, it is very important to tell people that come to prison, that especially when you start your time, or to let them know that there could be life at the end of the tunnel. That even though that it seems like there might not even be a tunnel, it seems like everything might be closed off, that you might not ever have a chance of getting out. You never know what's going to happen. Clemencies, pardons, compassionate releases, intervening change in the law, which appears, I think that's what happened here. It was an intervening change in the law which allowed the DA to go back and revisit, from what I understand. While the DA, and one of the criteria is when anytime there's a change in the law and they go back and revisit and they say, okay, was the sentence too long, or is the sentence incorrect? Let me call back. Bye. All right, so I just called back for those of you that don't know. Anyway, what I was saying when I hung up was this. So anytime there's an intervening or new change in the law, I should say, one of the things they have to look at is prison behavior or sentencing factors. How was will the person, when it comes down to public safety, what's the person's chances to commit a crime again, recidivism rate, character of the person, and so forth. But rehabilitation, what the person did while incarcerated, is super, super important. And that doesn't mean just taking prison programs. I'm going to say this. When I filed for my compassionate release, I sent my judge a list of the classes, the courses that I had taken. It's called Adult Continuing Education courses, ACE courses. And I also said that they're a complete waste of time. They're pieces of paper and just with a few answers, and often, to be honest, guys can buy certificates. For $5, you can have a certificate saying you completed some of these courses. The rehabilitation I'm talking about is the one that it's all about self, and that doesn't mean just within the framework of the institution. For example, I have a friend in here by the name of Gary Settle. He has helped people in here file compassionate releases, has worked closely with families against mandatory minimums, aka FAM, and has literally helped dozens of guys. I think it's close to 50 dozens of guys get back to their families, friends, and loved ones. That's a form of rehabilitation. Another form of rehabilitation, one of the better ones, is something that I'm doing Actually, and I'm not doing it for rehabilitation purposes right now, but one of the things that I tell guys in here to do is to volunteer for Suicide Watch, the Suicide Companion Program. That's just, you sit there literally with the log, and you watch somebody who has either tried to commit suicide or said that they wanted to harm themselves. That is a really, really major program, because that's actually helping the Bureau of Prisons fulfill their mission statement. Now, that gets kind of touchy. That gets, let me tell you, that one can get sensitive in prison, because some people say, oh my God, you're a rat, you're working with the BOP, you're acting like a cop. I get all that. So some guys that are in maximum security prisons or rougher prisons have a hard time with that one. However, those are the bigger programs that I feel are, because anytime that you are helping, well, point blank, that you're helping the Bureau of Prison fulfill their mission statement by being a body who's sitting there watching a person who might harm themselves. You know, and the what you're doing, the mission statement on the BOP, in part would say that, you know, the safety of the inmates and the public at large, okay? So if you're helping someone in prison be safe, that's fulfilling the mission statement. And I'm getting a little bit too far off on that. And, you know, I'll get blown back by people on that, but whatever. What else? Examples of, there's a bunch of, there are programs in here. CDL, you can take CDL courses, prepare to get your license when you get out. Just self-improvement in general. Stay away from gangs. One of my biggest things I would tell people, no bullshit, stay away from gangs. The only way I was able to get out was when I got cancer. I've said this so many times, cancer literally saved my life. I was really thick in the middle of my whole, I had about 10 years in, actually I had less than that, but when I was able to get away from gangs and stuff like that was because I was sent to a different facility where they didn't have gang activity. I had cancer, I got sober, I was able to concentrate on myself, started a website. That's a form of rehabilitation. To give you guys an example, if you're lucky and fortunate enough to have people on the street that can help people in prison put up blogs and stuff like that, there's a lot of value in that, because anytime you're reaching out and you're incarcerated and reaching out and getting someone in the public's attention for the right reasons now, okay? In full disclosure, when I started Convict Inc. or came up with the idea to have Convict Inc. when I was incarcerated, it was about a prison pen pal platform, but there was 100% business thought behind that, monetary gain behind that. Then it became, at some point, because it wasn't working the way I wanted to, meaning the business never got put together right because I was depending on somebody that wasn't following through. It became about writing, getting the attention of people, and there was something really intoxicating about that. Just being incarcerated, being noticed, and having a voice from within the walls is a major, major deal. I felt like my life had some kind of purpose. And I know there's people that are against something like that, like, you know, when people are sentenced, just to shut them up. I think that's total bullshit. A lot of talent behind these walls. A lot of people can help other people from behind these walls, and when they get out. Yeah. Anyway, but getting back to the focus of the story, if you know people in prison that are doing, you know, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years or life without the possibility of release, if you know their family members, I don't care what the crime is for, it could be the worst of the worst.
This call is from a federal prison.
Guys had premeditated murder, and let's be real. If they didn't have TikTok and a bunch of people become interested in it, and they didn't have the whole Hollywood pushing behind it, the chances of them ever getting out would be none. You know, and to kind of put this in contrast to myself, if I didn't get cancer, I would have never got out, okay? If I didn't get cancer, I would have never met the person who became my wife, and even though that didn't turn out that great. Point being, you never know what's going to you never know what's going to happen to you after you get sentenced, and to sit there and throw it away and give everything up and just, you know, woe is me and feel sorry for yourself. That's not the right way to go. And this just shows. I am not sitting here saying that there's going to be a whole bunch of people that all of a sudden are going to get out of prison that have been in there for decades. And I know there would be a lot more heartbreak than there would be wonderful stories about people getting their cases overturned or resentenced after, 20 plus years. The chances of that are extremely low, not going to happen. But the alternative is to would go to prison with boatloads of time and just waste your life and just, go hard, so to speak. That's the saying in here, go hard, and without any forethought or of ever getting out or at any chance. One of the things you have to keep hope alive all the way to the end. And if it works out, if it comes to the point to where it doesn't look like the person you love or your friend's loved one, or even if you're incarcerated, you're not going to get out, at least you tried your best, and you may have helped at least one or more people along the way. I guess I need to end this once again. I have been talking about I'm so fucking fortunate for what happened in my situation. I regret a lot of the things that happen to an extent that I can control what happened in my life. I'm glad this came to be where I am today, and that I'm almost done and I'm finished with paper. It's point blank. Okay, let me just spell it out there. Fuck, I don't care about enough the rest. Don't point blank. The worst thing, the thing I regret the most is my marriage, because I love Marta deeply. I like deeply still. Okay, anything else is I don't give a fuck about. Anything else that I did wrong, or anything else that I might have blew this chance, blew that chance, I don't give a fuck about. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that I regret. Otherwise, my future's bright, and about 90 days being done with it. Thanks for your support. Go on to the top of the site homepage. Please support me by buying some merchandise. By the way, my birthday is November 1st. Somebody just said this to me the other day. You guys want to give me something that's real cheap? Buy me a Convict Inc hat or a magnet or something like that, because I'm going to start rocking all my merchandise when I get out. Okay. Bye.